I was the underground girlfriend of a top stream singer for 7 years. On my birthday, he led everyone to mispronounce my name. Happy birthday, Elizabeth. Elizabeth wasn't me. She was his first love from his youth. His brother asked. Elizabeth has come back. Aren't you bored of using a disabled person as a substitute? Roy pinched my ear. His voice casual. The little deaf girl is fun. Keep her around. I'll propose to her later. He didn't know that my ears had just been cured. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful stories every day. Now the story begins. The smile on my face froze as I listened to Roy continue. Consider this birthday as what I owe Elizabeth. I'm making it up to her. Everyone around cheered and called him a lover saint. Finally, someone stared straight at me and asked, "Aren't you really afraid that she'll find out?" Roy lazily turned his head. What's there to be afraid of? Afraid that she'll cling on and not let go. There was a burst of laughter all around. Seriously, a deaf girl has been with the Roy family for 7 years. She's really one big. If she didn't look somewhat like Elizabeth, how could she have gotten this far? Amid the taunts, Roy lowered his head and put a birthday hat on me. The face so close to mine was still that high-class, world-weary face. Someone asked, "But after all, she's been with you for 7 years and she's pretty. If she runs away, will you really be willing to let her go?" Roy's hand trembled, and the hat tilted. After a moment, he gave a cold and heartless smile. Lock her up. Who allowed her to run away? There was a moment of complete silence. No one took it as a joke. After all, the power and influence of the Roy family were there. And this young master was both crazy and wild. He was really capable of doing such a thing. But what was the point of it all? Roy patiently adjusted the hat, his eyebrows and eyes gentle. But his words were like a cold blade. I waited for Elizabeth for 7 years before she came back to me. I wish I could keep her in my heart every day. How could I bear to say a harsh word to her? Keeping a substitute means I have someone to vent my pent-up anger on, doesn't it? Everyone laughed. They laughed at him for knowing how to be affectionate and at me for being pitiful and ridiculous. My fingernails dug into my palm, and I trembled all over with pain. Roy put his arm around my shoulder and placed the phone in front of me. Be good. It's time to make a wish. Everyone is wishing you a happy birthday. I covered my ears and blew out the candles. Then everyone shouted in unison, "Happy birthday to Elizabeth." I don't know who interjected. I wish the Roy family a successful proposal. Roy snorted softly. Didn't you eat? Why are you shouting so softly? The next second, a message from him popped up on the phone. Little fool. What wish did you make? Don't wish for the album to sell well again. Your brother is already so popular that he can't get any more popular. I forced my tears back bit by bit. I opened the video I had once recorded, and the cruel truth was revealed. The entire 7-year relationship turned out to be a complete joke. There was never a single birthday that Roy celebrated for me, even when he had his first performance. I promoted him day and night, and I fainted from exhaustion. All I got in return was his words. "Elizabeth, you've worked hard," even when we were passionate in bed. Amidst my gasps, the name he obsessively murmured was still Elizabeth. He had always been rough. When I was in pain, I struggled to use sign language, but it was no use. Afterwards, he would always look innocent and say, "Be good. Your hands are shaking, and your brother can't understand you." But recently, he would use sign language to ask if it hurt. I had never seen him so gentle before. Now I understood. He said, "It's just right to practice on the little deaf girl. Elizabeth is delicate and soft. I can't hurt her." The sour pain made my heart ache, and tears streamed down my face. How could he be so heartless? When he broke away from the Roy family and pursued his music dream with nothing, the one who abandoned him and went abroad was Elizabeth. It was me who accompanied him from having nothing to winning countless awards. My phone lit up. It was a message from the doctor. "MS. Lynn, are you sure you want to give up further treatment abroad? You've endured the pain of the previous surgery to replace the cochlear implant. It's really a pity to give up treatment now." I wiped away my tears and replied, "I'll go. I don't want Roy anymore." The date of going abroad was set for a week later. It happened to be the day when Roy would propose at the concert. That night, Roy didn't come back. I received a text message from Elizabeth. "Sister, don't wait anymore. Roy is playing the piano to lull me to sleep. I've already said that my insomnia is cured, but he still can't rest assured. He won't leave until he sees me fall asleep with his own eyes. Tell me, after all these 7 years, how can he still remember so clearly? In the attached picture, over the woman's fair shoulder with the suspender, the man was playing the piano. He was wearing a black t-shirt and an ancient silver necklace. That world-weary and high-class face looked extremely gentle under the faint yellow floor lamp. His slender knuckles danced on the black and white keys, as if caressing a lover's body. Elizabeth continued to show off. I won't talk anymore. He's angry with me for playing with my phone. After all these years, she still couldn't stand to see me doing well, but I didn't want to compete with her for anything. Roy was tainted, and I didn't want him anymore. Oh, right. Do you want this? Poor thing. Beg me, and maybe I'll give it to you. When I saw the photo she sent, my pupils shrank. The next day, on a variety show, Elizabeth lost a game and had to accept the punishment. She was wearing a small off-the-shoulder white dress and lying on the ground with her almond-shaped eyes red. A fat male celebrity was pressing on her and doing push-ups. Beside them, Roy leaned idly against the railing, twirling the bone ring on his middle finger. When the male celebrity fell, Roy finally couldn't stand it anymore. He cursed in a low voice and kicked the man away. Roy, with a dark face, took the punishment instead. He let Elizabeth sit on him, causing a burst of exclamations from the fans. Elizabeth seemed scared and tightly wrapped her hands around Roy's neck, where the veins were bulging. Someone beside me wondered. It's strange. What kind of status does Roy have? Why did he even agree to be on this variety show? What's even more amazing is that this young master has always looked down on everyone. But he's actually willing to let someone sit on him. I smiled bitterly, twitching the corners of my mouth. Because she was Elizabeth, Roy's first love from his youth. The next game was to randomly select an audience member and guess the song title. The moment he saw me, Roy's hand adjusting the headset paused, and he frowned. But he quickly lowered his head and helped Elizabeth adjust hers. The background music started. Roy had excellent singing skills, and his stage presence was cool and valiant. The spotlight shone on that godlike face, causing bursts of screams. When the host asked, I calmly said, sorry, I can't tell what the song is. The whole audience was in an uproar. This was a song by Roy that had recently become extremely popular across the country and won numerous awards. The fans exploded. Is this person deaf? She can't even recognize such a popular song. Replace her. Get off the stage. Get off the stage. Only Roy was extremely cold. He put one hand in his pocket, lifted his phoenix eyes, and looked at me coldly. He was angry because I had forgotten my status as an underground girlfriend who shouldn't be seen in public. He was even angrier that a substitute was showing up in front of the real person, until a fluorescent stick was thrown at me, and the sharp plastic broke the corner of my eye, causing it to bleed. In an instant, Roy's eyebrows furrowed tightly, and he lifted his leg to come over. But Elizabeth grabbed the hem of his clothes. She didn't say anything. She just bit her lower lip, and that made him stop in his tracks. He forgot about me, who was curled up in pain among the fluorescent sticks. He softly coaxed her. Don't be afraid. I'm here. After the farce, Elizabeth came on stage and won the game. I had to accept the punishment and was pushed into the pool. By the side of the pool, Elizabeth turned her back to the camera and laughed brazenly. You've had 7 years, but it's still useless. His beloved is still me. I heard that Roy has been calling you by my name for 7 years. I looked at her calmly, took out my phone, and typed. You've done what you wanted. Give me back what belongs to me. The song you just sang was written by me in high school. I don't mind falling out with you. Elizabeth's face turned green, and she sneered through gritted teeth. Suddenly, she grabbed my hand, pushed me into the water, and we both fell into the pool. The icy water flooded my nostrils, and I floundered in a panic. Soon, Roy's anxious voice came. Get the hell out of the way. Damn it. Why is the pool so deep? Elizabeth cried and said, Roy, save Elsa first. A strong force pulled my hand that was tightly holding onto Elizabeth away. Roy roared, Elsa, let go. Do you want to drag Elizabeth to death? The icy water pierced through my muscles and bones, and my heart gradually went numb. This time, he didn't mispronounce the name again. I suddenly remembered Roy's first performance. I was carrying the support materials and got tired. I sat in the corner where the light didn't reach to catch my breath. On the stage, Roy was under the spotlight, attracting everyone's attention. In the audience, the fans waved their fluorescent sticks and cheered wildly. I couldn't hear the singing, nor the cheers. In the silent and desolate world, only Roy's figure remained. He was a ray of light that had illuminated my dim and lonely youth, and now he was still shining brightly. Suddenly, there was a commotion in the crowd. I was pushed down and couldn't stand up. Someone threw the microphone, jumped off the stage, stumbled through the crowd, and squatted down to hug me tightly. The blood flowing down from his forehead landed on my lips. Roy, is it because you're afraid of breaking your substitute for her? Then why did you stroke my head over and over again and tell me not to be afraid? Then why, when you were 17 years old, at the age of 17, I lived under the shadow of Elizabeth, after my mother married her father? The man praised my newly written song, but as soon as he turned around, Elizabeth would tear up the sheet music. You deaf bitch, if you dare to write again, I'll slap your mouth until it's swollen. She hated me. She brought her friends, crushed my hearing aids, imitated the way I spoke, and even spread dirty rumors about me. But she was still the well-behaved and excellent student in the teacher's eyes. So, when I was falsely accused of stealing a bracelet, she cried and reported it to the teacher, her mouth opening and closing quickly, and I, due to long-term hearing loss, spoke slowly and strangely. Under the teacher's disgusted gaze, I gradually closed my mouth. The grievance swelled so much that it seemed to flow from my chest all the way to my eyes. The boy who had been reciting books by the side suddenly sneered. He skillfully used sign language. You idiot. No one can understand what you're saying. Don't you know how to write it down? He took out a piece of paper and a pen and slapped them in front of me. Then he lowered his head and said slowly, Teacher, I believe in classmate Elsa. Let her write down what she wants to say. Behind the young man, the sunlight shone through the ivy hanging by the window and was reflected in the black pupils under the thin bangs. After I was proven innocent, he pulled me away. In the face of Elizabeth's furious gaze, Roy personally took off the earring from his left ear and put it on me. The voice close to my ear was so loud that even Elizabeth following behind could hear it. He said, My grandmother is also deaf. Don't be afraid. If she bullies you again, press the button on the earring, and the other earring will sense it, and I'll appear. The heartbeat at that moment actually lasted for 10 years. When I woke up, the ivy by the hospital window was swaying. It was as green as it was that summer until it was startled and fell by the sound of the quarrel. The manager shouted, Are you crazy? Elsa was hit like that. And you still protected that woman. Have you forgotten all the things she did for you? Like accompanying you to competitions, promoting you, and begging people to help you with the data. The 27-year-old Roy coldly said, Did I ask her to do those things? The manager asked again. Then let her go. Okay. Stop torturing her. Why should I? She came to me first. I won't let her go. Let me remind you. You're about to propose to Elizabeth. Bro, I know. I only love Elizabeth. I just need some time. When I get bored with her, I'll naturally let her go. Roy suddenly grabbed a handful of his hair and continued impatiently. By the way, don't tell her about the proposal. I'm afraid she'll cause trouble. She actually tried to kill Elizabeth today. She's really crazy. Who the hell does she think she is? Does she really think that a musician like me will marry a deaf woman as my wife? He got up to leave. Behind him, the manager raised his voice and questioned him one after another. Who is she? She's a talented girl who won the New Voice Award at the age of 13. And she's been your girlfriend who's been willing to give for 10 years. Have you forgotten? Your greatest wish in the past was for her to be able to hear you sing. With the rapid development of medical technology nowadays, what if one day Elsa can hear? Don't you regret it? Roy didn't look back, and his voice was cold. I'm going to polish the engagement ring with my own hands. You tell her that I don't want to see her on any show again. The manager let out a sigh. When he turned around, he happened to meet my eyes. He panicked for a moment and then let out a long sigh. Fortunately, she can't hear. Otherwise, how much she would cry. TSK. Silly girl. She's still smiling. I did smile, laughing at how stupid I was. There were still 5 days left, and I would escape from Roy's control. I no longer coveted his cheap, deceptive, and partial love. When I got home, I put the things of Roy that I had collected over the years up for sale in the Rich Fam group. The commemorative t-shirts from his early debut, the commemorative cards from the road shows, and the first album with his personally signed 3-line love letter. Each item was a limited edition collection. And the fan group went crazy. My God. On this album, it's the love letter that brother wrote with his own hands back then. Is there something wrong at home? I'll take it. Give it to me. Will you sell it for 100,000? I typed and deleted in the chat box. Let out a sigh. And finally sent. Sorry. I don't love him anymore and have decided to quit being a fan. All the things will be sold out within 3 days and sent by SF Express. Just on that day, I sold 5 million yuan worth of items. There were so many things that my hands ached from packing. Fortunately, I didn't have to worry about the cost of going abroad for treatment anymore. That night, Roy still didn't come back. He only sent me a few messages. Rest well at home and don't run around. Simon will come to get the clothes later. Give him the suit you customized in Paris last March. Be good and go to bed early. I'm in the practice room tonight. It seemed that his anger had subsided. The intimacy in his tone was just like before. I don't understand. Now that Elizabeth is back, for whom is he pretending to be affectionate? But not long after, Elizabeth posted on Twitter, "You said that in the future, you would only stay by the moonlight and never look at other candles." The forwarded link was Roy's new album, Moonlight. To him, she was the bright moon hanging high, and to him, I was just another candle. This Twitter post quickly became a hot topic. Roy's fans flooded the comment section. Brother personally said that Moonlight was written for all the fans. Who is this shameless person trying to gain popularity by riding on our brother's coattails? She's only released a few songs, and they sound terrible. She's really crazy if she wants to be famous. I suggest this person take a look at the crazy stalker fans who were bombarded. I suggest this person take a look at the crazy stalker fan who was attacked a few years ago. When we fans encounter someone so brainless, we really get so angry that we feel like killing them. Yeah, that stalker fan was me. It was a crucial period for Roy's competition. He was under a lot of pressure and went too far in his actions. I left his house in the middle of the night and was photographed by the paparazzi who were lying in wait. At that time, the manager created a group chat with the three of us and suggested passing me off as a stalker fan. Roy called me via video call. His usually cold and world-weary eyes were red, as if he had been crying. He used sign language to ask me, "You don't want to do this, do you?" He gave me the choice, but with his beloved's bright future at stake, I had no reason to refuse. I comforted him. It's okay. I don't care. Even a talented singer needs the support of female fans. Anyway, I can't hear what they say. I couldn't hear, but I could see. I was regarded as a crazy fan who had broken into Roy's house, and all my efforts were labeled as perverted. There were overwhelming insults on the internet. Some people even dug up my address, threw stinky eggs at me, and sent me threatening letters. When Roy won the annual championship of National Good Male Voice, I was so scared by the knife thrown into my house that I curled up in the closet and hugged myself tightly. Obviously, the moonlight is different after all. When Elizabeth's Twitter post became a trending topic, Roy had just won the Best Male Singer award and was being interviewed. The reporter asked, "Roy, a female artist said that your new album Moonlight was written for her. Is that true?" After a moment of stunned silence, Roy frankly admitted, "Yes. If it weren't for Elizabeth, I might not have been able to persevere in the early years. It's really like first love literature coming into reality. Your debut hit song I Wish You Could Hear was rumored to be written for a lover with a hearing impairment at that time." Roy frowned and then said firmly, "It's always been Elizabeth. There has never been anyone else. After 7 years of being together, I wasn't even considered anyone else." The public opinion quickly shifted to one side. No one dared to mess with the person whom the prince of the entertainment industry held dear. Roy probably thought I wouldn't see all this. Because of the online abuse over the years, I rarely went on Twitter anymore. But one after another, his girlfriend fans came to me to cry and complain. "I can't stand it. I've been crying all night." Those sweet words he said to us fans before were all just part of his persona. Right. After all, Roy's strength was there. Even though some of his girlfriend fans unfollowed him, there were still a large number of career fans. But I didn't expect to see Roy when I got home. He seemed to have just come back from a banquet. He was wearing the high-end customized suit from the award ceremony, loosened his tie, and exposed his collarbone. He used sign language to question me. "Where are my things? Why are they gone? I was still thinking of an excuse to prevaricate. He had already stepped forward, grabbed my wrist, and forcefully pulled me into his arms. He whispered in my ear, thinking I couldn't hear. Who allowed you to throw them away? Huh, Elsa. If you keep throwing tantrums, I really won't want you anymore. You clearly know that Elizabeth is most afraid of water. Yet you pulled her into the water. You're a deaf person. What do you have to compete with her for? If you're good, I won't leave you. I used all my strength to push him away. He reeked of alcohol, and I saw his bloodshot eyes. Roy, what are you reluctant to part with? Is it because you can't bear to see her suffer? So you're reluctant to part with this substitute who is willing to give. I raised my hand. I was a bit tired and used sign language. They were all covered in dust, so I sent them to be cleaned. His expression softened a bit. He lowered his head and reached out to stroke the earring on my earlobe. Our foreheads were pressed together, and our breaths intertwined. For a moment, it was as if he had been transported back to the past. When he came back with an award, we raised our glasses to celebrate. In the end, we got drunk and spent a lingering night together, saying all kinds of love words. Suddenly, a phone call came in. On the other end of the line, Elizabeth's soft and coquettish voice came. Where have you been? I can't fall asleep. Roy woke up as if from a dream, pushed me away, and said as he walked, Don't take any medicine. It's bad for your health. I'll come over later. I covered my lower back that was hurt by the doorknob. I grimaced in pain, and tears welled up in my eyes. It's so boring. In the next few days, Roy didn't show up, using the excuse of concert rehearsals. He was with Elizabeth all the time. The two of them strolled through the music festival holding hands, shared earphones and walked in the park, and went home together late at night after being intimate. In the face of the paparazzi's cameras, Roy openly raised their clasped hands without fear. At the same time, I was busy packing my luggage and booking a plane ticket. When I saw the trending topic about the two of them, I smiled bitterly. In the past, even if our hands accidentally touched on the street, Roy would frown and keep a distance. It turned out that the reason he never made our relationship public wasn't that he was afraid of harming his career, but that he was afraid Elizabeth, who was abroad, would see it. That's all. The day before I left, which was also the day before the concert, I went for a follow-up checkup. The doctor repeatedly warned, You've just changed the dressing. Be sure not to do any strenuous exercise. If the wound opens, there's nothing we can do to save it. I nodded, and my eyes felt hot and sour. The doctor said that if I went abroad for further treatment, as long as it took a year, my hearing and speaking abilities could fully return to normal. I got up and left. On the last day, I planned to go and say goodbye to my mother. I practiced the words I wanted to say over and over again, correcting my intonation word by word. Then I went to Elizabeth's company to get back the conch that she had stolen from me. I lost my hearing at the age of 14 on the final stage of the national music competition. My mother gave me the conch that she had picked up when she was a child. She listened to the sound of the wind in the conch and left the mountains. She pressed the conch to my ear and held back her tears as she said, Elsa, can you hear it? It's the sound of the sea. Our Elsa has to study hard, get into a good university, and then she can go and see the sea in the future. Do you understand? She wanted to weave a dream to bring her lifeless daughter back to life. But I said, Mom, I can't hear. She was deceived. The hearing aid that cost thousands of yuan was useless. For my sake, my mother married Elizabeth's father. She had no status and lived under someone else's roof. Elizabeth hated me and hated her even more. She would overturn the pork rib soup that my mother had painstakingly cooked, scalding her arms with blisters, and then smile indifferently and apologize. Sorry, Auntie. My hand slipped. Then she turned to the maid and said, A prostitute who sells herself. She doesn't even look at how dirty she is. The pork rib soup smells like a slut. It's so disgusting. My mother could clearly hear, but she pretended to be deaf and mute for my sake. She tried her best to be nice to Elizabeth while serving that man humbly, until Elizabeth said something about my mother in front of the whole class. I picked up a dictionary and rushed up to hit her. The injured Elizabeth had her friends hold me back and pushed me into the lake in winter. I didn't die, but I suffered a nerve injury in my ear, and the hearing aid was no longer useful. My usually gentle mother was like a crazy cow. She broke through the crowd, crashed into the wall, then grabbed her by the hair and slapped her. Then, as if hit by a bullet, She fell down with a loud thud. My mother died from a sudden heart attack. On that day, Elizabeth made me lose my mother and also lose my last hope of hearing. When I arrived downstairs at Elizabeth's brokerage company, a group of reporters suddenly surrounded me with cameras. Plagiarist. You're deaf. Yet you still plagiarize other people's songs. You're so shameless. I was stunned and pushed around. The medicine I was holding spilled all over the ground. The crowd suddenly parted. Elizabeth walked in with tears on her eyelashes. Everyone, don't blame my sister. My sister has a hearing problem, so she had no choice but to steal my music score. Sister, this is the conch that Mom gave you. Don't lose it again. She held out her hand. I didn't care about anything else. I exerted all my strength to break free from the restraint. Don't give it to her. She doesn't deserve it. Elizabeth's assistant beside her threw the conch at me, hitting the top of my head. I watched helplessly as the conch fell, stained with my blood, and broke into pieces. I remembered that before my mother died, she still couldn't let go of me. She said, "Elsa, you have to live on. Your ears will definitely be cured one day. All the words that Mom wants to say to you are hidden in the conch. You must wait until that day." My ears were clearly cured, and I could hear soon. Why? I went crazy and punched and kicked the people around me. As soon as I broke free, I rushed up and grabbed Elizabeth's collar. I shouted hysterically, "Give it back to me. I can hear my mom's voice soon. Give it back to me." My way of speaking was very strange, and no one could understand me clearly. They just saw that I was crying like a madman. Up close, Elizabeth had a decent smile on her face. She mouthed silently, "You deserve it." I suddenly raised my fist, but someone grabbed my wrist. Elizabeth hugged the person beside me, pointed at me, and complained, "Roy, you're finally here." She plagiarized my song and even wants to take revenge and kill me. Roy held her in his arms, and there was a paranoid fierceness on his face. "Don't be afraid. With me here, no one can hurt you." He turned his head with a fierce expression. When he saw me, he was stunned. He used sign language to ask, "Why are you here? Who hurt you? Did you plagiarize?" I stared at him intently, my eyes red. I couldn't believe he was questioning me. Roy avoided my gaze. He sternly scolded the reporters behind me in a low voice. "Get out of here. If any of you report this, you won't be able to continue your business." When the crowd dispersed, Elizabeth clung to Roy and acted coquettishly. "Roy, make her apologize. Also, that earring should be returned to me." I laughed coldly, took off the earring, threw it on the ground, and stomped on it several times. I pointed at the fragments and said, "Elizabeth, since you like to snatch things so much, come and pick it up at my feet." Roy's face darkened, and he examined my expression. Behind him, Elizabeth poked her head out and shouted at me, "What are you showing off for?" If it weren't for the fact that Roy and I were arguing at that time, he wouldn't have gotten close to you just to make me angry. I looked up at Roy. His thin lips were tightly pursed, and he gave a soft hum. It turned out that even our initial encounter was just an episode in someone else's story. The past 10 years were so absurd that I couldn't help laughing. I laughed as I picked up the conch on the ground. The next second, Roy's expression changed. He pushed Elizabeth away. He bent down and grabbed my shoulders with great force. "You can hear now, right? It hurt so much." My forehead, which was injured by the blow, hurt, and my shoulder, which was being grabbed, hurt. Something warm flowed out of my ear. "Get away. Don't touch me." Roy's pupils shrank. His hand trembled as he touched my earlobe, and his voice was shaking. "Elsa, your ear is bleeding. Why is there blood? Don't close your eyes. Say something." He watched helplessly as the blood flowing from my ear wet his palm. He picked me up in his arms horizontally, and there was a panic in his voice that I couldn't understand. "Hurry. Go to the hospital." When I woke up, I heard the voice of the manager. "Simon." She almost lost her ear. "Mr. Pay, the great singer. You almost destroyed her last hope." Roy slumped on the sofa and laughed like a madman. "She can hear now. That's right. I have a concert tonight. She must sit in the best seat." As he spoke, he bent over, buried his head between his knees, and his voice trembled. "Why didn't she tell me? She wanted to hear my voice so much. This is such a happy thing. Why didn't she tell me the moment she could hear?" Simon sneered and taunted. "Have you forgotten that you're going to propose to another woman at tonight's concert? You're so unrestrained. For the sake of a woman, You're not afraid to offend all your fans. You even spent tens of millions to give a diamond ring to everyone at the concert, just to make everyone willingly bless you too. Enough. Shut up. Roy interrupted him with red eyes and gasped for breath. His phone lit up, and he picked it up. Simon raised his voice and continued, I really can't stand it. In which aspect is Elsa not better than that green tea bitch? I said shut up. Roy tugged at the silver chain around his neck, and his voice gradually turned cold. I just promised Elizabeth that I would pick her up and take her to the venue. He stood up, took off the earring from his right ear. Give this to her. Tell her not to throw it away again. Simon asked, aren't you going to wait any longer? Elsa will definitely want to see you when she wakes up. Roy didn't answer and left in a hurry. When Simon brought Roy back, I had already gotten up and picked up the conch on the coffee table. I don't know who had glued it back together with glue. Simon tried to persuade me. Don't cry. That bastard Roy isn't worth it. Yeah, he isn't worth it. And I don't care. I raised my hand to cover my wet eyes and pressed the conch to my ear. The summer sea breeze blew in my ear, just like a gentle call over and over again. My mother was saying, Elsa, hurry up and leave. Go far away and stay away from the people who will break your heart. The concert started smoothly. Roy lowered his head and saw Elizabeth sitting in the first row, wearing a pure white evening dress. He suddenly remembered the music classroom in high school. After the girl finished singing the song she wrote herself, she said playfully, if you can play it on the spot, we'll be together. Her talent amazed him and became an obsession that he couldn't let go of. But for some reason, he looked towards the outermost seat in the 11th row. That was the seat that Elsa always sat in. Unremarkable. He remembered his first commercial performance. It was in a small bar that was on the verge of going out of business. When a customer caused trouble, she, who was usually so quiet, smashed a wine bottle, stared at the person fiercely, and scared the person away. He remembered his first concert. She was so small, carrying boxes of support materials. When she was extremely tired, she sat in the shadows and listened to him sing. Even though she couldn't hear, she still smiled so happily. After that, he wrote the hit song, I Wish You Could Hear. He suddenly felt sorry that at this moment, among the deafening cheers, hers were missing. During the intermission, he couldn't wait to call Simon. Is she awake? Tell her to wait for me to come back tonight. Wait for me. I can sing for her all night. She always wanted to hear me sing the most before. The door of the lounge was burst open. Roy, let's celebrate in advance. Elizabeth came in with a glass of red wine in her hand and a big smile on her face. Roy hung up the phone and for the first time examined her from a different perspective. Do you know that drinking is bad for your throat? Elizabeth's smile froze. Roy stared straight at her. I listened to the song that Elsa plagiarized from you. That style is very similar to hers. Elizabeth's eyes turned red. Do you suspect me? After a moment of silence, Roy softened his heart and hugged her in his arms, humming a song to her. What song is this? I've never heard you sing it before. Roy suddenly froze all over. This was the song she had sung in the music classroom. In a flash of inspiration, he realized something. Suddenly, he was terribly panicked. He made a video call to Simon and forced him to turn on the camera. Simon, I've told you that if she leaves, you can pack your bags and get out too. Seeing the empty bed, Roy slumped onto the sofa, his lips trembling. Elizabeth came over and put her arm around his. Just let her go. She deliberately wants to ruin the concert. Roy pushed her away and ran out in a daze. No, Elsa couldn't leave. She couldn't just leave like this when he had just discovered the truth. She hadn't listened to his concert yet. She hadn't heard him say, I love you. When I left, I threw away my phone card and blocked all of Roy's contact information. As soon as I landed, I transferred 1 million yuan to Simon. If it weren't for him, I'm afraid I'd still be trapped in Roy's cage. The days of treatment abroad passed by quickly. At the same time, Elizabeth was being supported by Roy. She released albums frequently and won awards one after another. But for some reason, the two of them hadn't gotten married yet, and Roy launched a global tour, and his reputation became even more prominent. As for me, I desperately rushed through the treatment courses. Within a year, I reached the normal level and even joined a band. People around said I was crazy. I was still practicing singing even with a high fever. No one knew how much I wanted to climb to the top. Fortunately, on this lonely journey, I met some people who were worth embracing. Sister, stop practicing. There's still a week until the performance. The drummer who shared the apartment with me came out of the bathroom. Victor, wilder than Roy, had eyebrows and eyes somewhat similar to Roy's, but his personality was gentle. My eyes swept over his exposed abdominal muscles. I can't tonight. A shadow blocked the light. Victor took my hand and pressed it on his abdominal muscles, then lowered it. His lips touched my ear, acting like a seductive fox. Sister, stop playing the guitar. Play with this, please. I swallowed my saliva. Just as I was about to speak, there was a knock on the door. Victor wrapped the bath towel around himself again and cursed in a low voice. I couldn't help laughing out loud. He turned around and fiercely kissed my cheeks twice. I'm looking for Elsa. My hand that was putting the guitar on the stand paused, and I suddenly turned my head. Roy was standing at the door wearing a black coat, looking straight at me like a statue. He had lost a lot of weight after a year apart, and there were dark circles under his eyes. Who the hell are you? What do you want with my wife? Victor blocked his view. Roy sneered. I'm her boyfriend who was with her for 7 years. Who are you? I've investigated. You two haven't even confirmed your relationship. Victor slammed the door shut. His slightly raised phoenix eyes turned red. That night, Victor's service awareness reached a first-class level, all for the sake of earning a status. He stroked the bulge of my navel, revealing his inferior nature, and asked, Sister, am I the first one to be here? When I went out the next day, there were cigarette butts all over the ground at the door. I met Roy in a quiet bar. He took off his sunglasses, and his eyes were full of bloodshot. It seemed that he hadn't slept all night, and his voice was hoarse. You were moaning so loudly last night just to make me angry. Elsa, you've succeeded. I was so angry that I went crazy outside the door. I observed his expression calmly and said lightly, Don't think too much. It's just that his skills are better than yours. There was a flash of pain in Roy's eyes. Don't be like this. It was so hard for me to find you. I'm here in Australia for a concert this time. When I heard someone mention your performance in the bar, you don't know how happy I was. After you left, I realized that I don't love Elizabeth at all. It's you, and only you that I love. We've known each other for 10 years and been together for 7 years. How could you be so heartless as to leave like this and still have such a dirty physical relationship? I took a sip of wine and made a judgment. Roy was an idiot. A complete idiot. I thought about my words and looked away. I noticed a familiar figure in the front left. I smiled. A forced smile. I don't believe it. If you loved me, how could you support Elizabeth? You know how much I hate her. Sensing the lingering feelings in my words, Roy relaxed all over and said indifferently, I don't love her. If it weren't for the fact that she looks like you, why would I keep her by my side? I can make her lose her reputation. If you want, I can even send her to prison. Crash. The cup in Elizabeth's hand, who was eavesdropping, shattered all over the ground. She walked over with tears in her almond-shaped eyes. Roy, you're just joking, right? You said you loved me. Roy suddenly grabbed my hand, interlocked our fingers, and said coldly to her, I thought you knew your place. You're just a substitute who looks somewhat like Elsa. As he spoke, his eyebrows and eyes became fierce. If it weren't for your deception, how could it have taken me so many years to realize that the person I truly love has always been Elsa? Elizabeth picked up a wine glass and splashed it in Roy's face. Then you still stayed with me for a year. You're a crazy person. After the farce of them fighting each other ended, I left in a rather good mood. Suddenly, a big dog clung to me, whining, Sister, can I chop off his hand? Although I knew Victor came from a wealthy family, his serious expression when he said this made me a little scared about what kind of person I had provoked. No, I haven't had enough fun yet. As I spoke, I stretched out my hand. Go home and wash it clean for me. It's been stained by something dirty. The little dog snorted and obediently took my hand. Roy was very quick in his actions. In a month's time, Elizabeth had a series of major scandals. First, it was revealed that her songs were plagiarized. And then the bullying incidents in her high school and university were exposed. Then, perhaps even Roy himself didn't expect it. During the 7 years she was abroad, Elizabeth hadn't studied at a conservatory of music. Instead, she had become the mistress of a wealthy white businessman. Later, she was discovered by the businessman's wife and was beaten until she had internal bleeding. She repaid all the money she had received and then slunk back to the country. Finally, because she had evaded too much tax and couldn't pay it back. She was sent to prison, and by coincidence, she was arranged to be in the same dormitory as the person she had bullied in the past. And that person, due to her bullying, had a twisted mentality and was charged with serial murder. Roy really left no room at all, just like he had treated me back then. 3 months later, I returned to the country. Roy dressed up grandly to welcome me, with a large group of bodyguards following behind him. All kinds of top media surrounded us. He publicly announced his pursuit of me. In the car, Roy coughed lightly to break the silence. Did you break up? I've always said that that kid who hasn't even grown up properly is just for fun and won't be serious. Elsa, as long as you're willing. Sorry, I said heavily. Roy, I can't let go of him. I turned around, absent-mindedly reached out to trace his eyebrows and eyes, and gave a desolate smile. Your eyes are like his. It's a pity that you have single eyelids. I lowered my hand and covered my face. He has a pair of very charming peach blossom eyes. I can never forget them. Roy was silent for a long time. The next day, when I was about to slit my wrists and commit suicide for love, he rushed in and actually cried. He begged me, venting his unease. Don't do this. If you die for him, what will happen to me? What will I do? Then, Roy disappeared for a month. When we met again, he had had a double eyelid surgery. He pinched my wrist and stroked the wound, like a student waiting for the teacher to grade him. There was pain in his eyes. Like this. Do I look more like him? Just treat me as him, as long as you don't die. In his pain, I tasted a sense of pleasure. So that's how it is. It turns out that treating someone as a substitute, trampling on his affection wantonly, and watching him sink to the point of having no bottom line for you, even not daring to ask you for a promise. It's so satisfying. The corners of my mouth twitched, and I tried my best to hold back the corners of my mouth that wanted to curl up wildly. Pfft. Old man, no matter how you have plastic surgery, you won't be like me. After Roy left, Victor came out of the bedroom. When the darkness in his eyes met mine, it softened like water. Sister, you're about to get married. Haven't you had enough fun yet? I stroked his hair like petting a dog and felt very sorry. Just wait a little longer. I'll come tonight. Roy, it's not painful enough yet. From then on, I completely regarded Roy as a substitute. On his birthday, I, accidentally, called him by the wrong name, embarrassing him in front of all the guests. He just pulled the corners of his mouth and forced a smile. It doesn't matter. You just need time to get over it. Even when he received my call in the middle of the night, hearing me wake up from a nightmare and call out Victor's name, even though he was dead drunk, he still ran through more than a dozen red lights, just to bring me a strawberry cake, which was what Victor had once given me. When he had a car accident, he was covered in blood but still protected the cake in his arms. So, when Roy received the groom's suit, he was so happy that he suddenly sat up straight from the hospital bed, grinning in pain with a smile. It was an extremely luxurious wedding. I wore a high-end customized wedding dress and slowly walked towards the man whose eyes were filled with me. Outside the hall, Roy, who was so thin that he was almost unrecognizable, rushed over in an ill-fitting suit. The bodyguards stopped him. People around taunted him. What kind of clown is this? This is young Master Victor's wedding. A nobody from a small entertainment group dares to come and cause trouble. Only then did Roy realize that even this wedding suit didn't belong to him. Once, Elsa's heart was full of him. Now, he didn't even deserve to have a name.